Inside the Adventurers Guild, a woman makes her urgent request one more time. Her companion, an armored warrior, presses the receptionist about a specific mage's whereabouts. With desperation in her eyes, she describes their target, a male mage in a black robe. This receptionist, however, cheerfully insists no such mage is registered with their guild at all. Stunned by the dismissal, the warrior questions her own sanity, her outburst startling the poor receptionist. Meanwhile, the commotion draws the attention of other adventurers relaxing in the guild hall. This patrons recognize the battered women as members of the famous White Gale Sword Party. A rumor circulates that their famous party was overwhelmed by a monster they could not handle. At a nearby table, a hooded man smirks, revealing a mysterious mage handled that monster effortlessly. His tablemates react in disbelief, unable to process the incredible claim he just made. Yet one of them understands the implication. This unknown mage is the party's benefactor. Immediately, their imaginations run wild with fantasies of how the grateful party will thank their hero. While his companions are lost in envious daydreams, the hooded man just looks mortified. Catching his reaction, they call him out for smirking, but he frantically denies it. A sly grin gives him away, confirming he is enjoying this far more than he lets on. With a sly grin, Higashiyama Tori introduces himself as the true identity of the mysterious magician. He is thrilled to be reincarnated in this new world, but finds hiding his true power a major hassle, since he always dreamed of living a double life, an ordinary person by day, a hero by night. In reality, his previous life was 25 years of quiet desperation, completely lacking in confidence, until one fateful moment shattered his mundane existence. A young boy chasing a ball runs directly into the path of an oncoming truck, and without a second of hesitation, Tori lunges forward, screaming a desperate warning. He manages to shove the child to safety, taking the full impact of the collision himself. Waking in a white void, he is greeted by a cheerful being welcoming him to the afterlife, leaving our boy utterly stunned and unable to process what is happening. This godlike entity gets straight to the point. Higashiyama Tori died saving that child's life. But Tori's first thought is not for himself as he immediately asks about the boy, his voice filled with panic while demanding to know if the kid made it out okay. Taken aback by his selflessness, the being confirms the child is completely unharmed, and an immense wave of relief washes over Tori, thankful his sacrifice meant something. He blushes, imagining the glory of surviving just to see what comes next, but the mysterious woman just laughs at his desire to watch himself on the news. Flustered, he insists that being an unsung shadow hero is every man's dream. She just smiles warmly, telling him she actually holds him in very high regard. Then she reveals a critical moment, a child who was fated to die by a truck. Pointing directly at him, she declares that he defied destiny by saving that child. Our boy stares back, stunned by the revelation of his reality-altering choice. As a reward for changing fate, she offers to grant his one true wish. He can barely believe it, wondering if his deepest desire could actually be fulfilled. With a sly wink, she finally gets to the point, reincarnation in another world. And so, the life of 25-year-old Higashiyama Tori comes to an end. His eyes snap open with a look of pure astonishment. Finding himself in a strange forest, he realizes the reincarnation was real. To assess his new situation, he checks the bag given to him by that god. Pulling out a new set of clothes, he is immediately impressed by the cool design. Waking up in a strange forest, he finds a starter kit laid out beside him. This kit includes a book containing the world's basic knowledge and a swordsmanship guide. And to his utter shock, he can somehow read the foreign script perfectly, absorbing it all. Recalling the goddess who sent him here, granting him 3 random cheat abilities from a box. His first power is a moderate talent for swordsmanship, enough to become proficient with practice. And for his second ability, a tiny flame flickers to life on his fingertip, but it immediately explodes into a puff of sand, blasting him right in the eyes, followed by a sudden jet of water that soaks his face completely. Revealing his second power is 4-element magic, but it is ranked as utterly useless trash. His final and most promising ability is ultimate space magic, complete with a simple guide, an ancient power so rare that almost no records of it even exist anymore. Deciding to test it, he casts an expansion spell on an ordinary burlap sack, causing the space inside the simple bag to miraculously stretch and grow. He reaches inside, his entire arm disappearing into the bag's impossible new depth. Pulling his hand back in disbelief, it is like having his own 4-dimensional pocket. Tori spots a distant cliff, deciding it is the perfect target for his teleportation spell. Focusing his will, he casts the teleport magic for the very first time, and in a flash, he instantly appears at his destination, amazed by the power. A profound sense of awe washes over him as the reality of his new abilities sinks in, his eyes widening at the sheer scale of this fantasy world he now inhabits. He gazes out upon a breathtaking, alien landscape stretching out before him, realizing this incredible new world is now his home and his playground. In a place with such bizarre and magical nature, he feels a sense of true freedom, watching strange creatures soar through the sky as he finally embraces his new life. A sudden thought strikes him as he stares at the majestic scenery before him, his hand clenching as he realizes the potential of his ultimate space magic. He could finally live out his dream of being a mysterious, identity-hidden hero. Overwhelmed with excitement, he decides his first step is to find a town for information. But his celebration is cut short by a sudden, shocking sight in the distance. leaving him completely bewildered as he tries to understand what he is seeing. From the safety of the trees, Tori spots two adventurers battling a massive lizard-like monster. His heart pounds as he confirms this is a real fantasy world with swords and magic. A wide, excited grin spreads across his face, seeing this as the perfect tutorial event. Suddenly, a monstrous claw digs deep into the earth with terrifying force, revealing a ferocious dragon roaring down at the cornered adventurers. This warriors curse their terrible luck, ambushed by a beast that tunneled from below, since their magic user is already down, unable to sense the danger beforehand. And their archer lies defeated on the ground, leaving the party on the verge of collapse. In a panic, the party's leader screams that they must retreat while she carries the injured, but her spear-wielding companion furiously refuses, insisting she will hold the line alone. This armored leader argues back that this is no time for such reckless heroics. Clutching her injured arm, she wonders if she can even fight with one limb. Despair and determination clash in her eyes as the grim reality sets in, yet the other warrior roars back, vowing that every single one of them will survive this. This leader finally gives the order for two of them to retreat while she secures a path. A grim smile crosses the spearwoman's face as she readies for the fight. Facing a massive dragon-like beast, she bravely challenges it to come at her. Her weapon is a giant spear, aptly named Dragon Hunt for this very purpose. With a fierce grin, she vows to bring the massive creature down. Leaping high above the beast, she poises her spear for a devastating downward thrust, but her confidence shatters in an instant, replaced by a scream of pure terror, as her powerful strike deflects harmlessly off the monster's impenetrable hide. This legendary spear fails to even scratch the creature's rock-hard scales. In that moment of failure, her mind struggles to process the impossible outcome. Thrown completely off balance, she crashes back to the ground, utterly exposed. Gritting her teeth, she admits the beast is far tougher than she ever imagined. Yet even battered and bleeding, a determined smile forms as a new plan takes shape. Deciding on a new target, she scrambles up the monster's back, aiming for its eye. Her companion can only scream her name in terror, Lilitan. This desperate cry breaks Lilitan's focus, her eyes widening in sudden alarm. This warrior Riritan drives her spear deep into the monstrous beast's hide, but the creature's counterattack sends blood flying from her mouth. A massive shockwave throws her backward across the battlefield, completely overwhelmed. Her companion Aisha screams her name in absolute terror, finding herself suddenly alone against the overwhelming threat. This hulking monster turns its attention to her, letting out a deafening roar. Realizing she is the only one left standing, she knows she has to fight. Yet with an injured arm, she wonders how she can possibly win this battle. From the ground, the wounded Riritan desperately yells for Aisha to escape, insisting that at least one of them needs to survive this ordeal. Nearby, another of their party members lies completely still, while their hooded companion is already down for the count. A single drop of blood traces a path down Aisha's chin. Her hand tightens around her sword hilt, her despair turning to resolve, and with newfound determination, she vows to fight and save them all. As the leader of the White Blade, she stands firm, her noble lineage giving her strength. Her eyes burn with resolve as she vows to protect her comrades at any cost. In response, the monster's jaws crack open, a ball of raw power gathering for a blast. A look of pure horror crosses her face as she recognizes the magical convergence, a breath attack. Knowing she cannot escape, a grim acceptance settles over her, but her fear gives way to a final defiant roar, vowing to protect her friends to the end. A torrent of pure destruction erupts from the beast's mouth, engulfing everything in its path. Just then, a mysterious power activates, a single word echoing through the air: partition. Impossibly, the devastating beam cleaves in two, passing harmlessly on either side of her. Utterly bewildered, she can only stare as the attack dissipates into nothing. From the shadows, a hooded stranger suddenly appears, remarking that her death would be a problem. Stunned by his sudden appearance, she can only stammer out a single question: "Who are you?" Ignoring her completely, the man just mutters to himself, wondering if his entrance was too plain. Still reeling, her mind struggles to catch up, completely unable to process what just transpired. It dawns on her that this lone stranger somehow managed to nullify the dragon's breath by himself. Aisha stammers in disbelief, asking the mysterious stranger how he managed that feat, but the massive beast just lets out a low, menacing growl, its eyes fixed on its prey. Suddenly, its jaw is wrenched apart by an unseen force, a silent scream of agony. This armored warrior screams a desperate warning, her face a mask of pure terror. Tori, however, just sighs with annoyance, complaining that his grand entrance was interrupted. And with a simple gesture, he unleashes his space magic, a spell called Severance. In an instant, the monster's head is sliced clean from its massive body. Its decapitated head hangs in the air for a moment, frozen in a silent roar. Our boy smirks at the fallen creature, telling the oversized lizard not to ruin the mood. Turning to the stunned adventurer, he offers a confident, knowing look, leaving Aisha completely speechless as she demands to know who this stranger is. She can only stare as the hooded savior stands calmly over the defeated dragon. Nearby, their injured magic user watches the entire scene unfold from against a tree, her eyes widening as she senses a strangely familiar power emanating from the newcomer. A deep feeling stirs within her, a sense that she is forgetting something vital. Aisha's eyes flutter open, her mind struggling to grasp what just happened. Standing before her is a mysterious hooded man whom she immediately thanks for the rescue. Still dazed, she asks who he is, wondering if he is an adventurer from another town. He brushes off her questions, instead offering a potion for her and her injured friends. Her eyes widen in shock. It is a rare and valuable recovery potion she is being given. With a calm smile, Tori simply tells her that it is hers to take, of course. Overjoyed, she realizes this means she can finally treat her fallen comrades. She insists on rewarding him later, but he gently refuses her offer. Aisha tries to argue, unable to accept such a selfless act without repayment, but he explains that her own bravery bought the time for him to even intervene. Tori urges her to forget about him and hurry back to her friend's side. Humbled, she finally accepts his words, agreeing to focus on her party. She asks him to wait for just a moment before she rushes off to help them. A cool, knowing smile crosses his face as he watches her go, and our boy cannot help but think to himself how incredibly cool he must look right now. A smug smile crosses Tori's face, realizing this is the perfect setup for a mysterious hero's debut. His excitement builds, believing his dream of being a mysterious mage is finally coming true. Nearby, the kind-hearted Aisha tends to her injured companion, Marine, asking if she is all right. Foregoing any reward, he prepares to make a different kind of request instead. Casting a teleport spell, he sends them away with one command: spread his legend far and wide. Soon after, rumors fill a local tavern about a mysterious mage who defeated a powerful dragonkin. While at the Adventurers Guild, a receptionist cheerfully confirms Tori's registration is complete. He beams with pure joy, officially welcomed as a brand new adventurer, casually asking the receptionist if she has heard any rumors about a certain cool mage. With a worried expression, she reveals the entire country is in an uproar over the incident, leaving our boy confused, wondering why a hero's appearance is not being celebrated as a good thing. She frantically explains this is no fairy tale. A legendary dragonkin that even top adventurers could not scratch is real. And on top of that, an unknown individual capable of defeating such a beast alone has now appeared. A wave of panic hits Tori as he realizes that Big Lizard was actually a legendary class monster. Trying to play it cool, he asks just how famous the White Serpent Sword Party is, offering his help. She begins by introducing the party's members, starting with the Grand Mage, Witch Marine, followed by the monstrous former mercenary and warrior, Adamantine Raritan, and the party's professional scout and reconnaissance expert, the deadly beast Hunt Saran, even the youngest disciple of the Demon Lord. Fire Fairy Ween is among their ranks, led by the renowned sword princess Aisha Garden, commander of the White Serpent's Sword. This group is the most powerful party in the entire Grail Kingdom, boasting 2 6-star adventurers. With a panicked expression, she asks if he truly understands the gravity of saving that asterisk party. But our boy just looks back, completely bewildered by her intense reaction. This realization finally hits him and he screams in shock. He saved that asterisk legendary group. He clutches his head in a full-blown panic, realizing he wanted to be noticed but not this much. Yet his panic quickly shifts to a smug grin, thinking this story is way bigger than he planned. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes there were no baby steps. He started on max difficulty. His mind races with the consequences, as all he wanted was a peaceful life in this new world. This receptionist notices his pale face, asking with genuine concern if he is feeling all right. Putting on a strained, manic smile, he tells her not to worry, just contemplating his future life. Walking through town, Raritan questions if they are really searching for the mysterious mage, but Aisha vows with fierce determination to find him, no matter what it takes. Raritan teases that her leader wants to spend the night with him, flustering Aisha completely. They find themselves reporting the entire incident to a stern-looking guild official. He explains that dragonkin are the highest-class monsters, a threat only elite adventurers can face. This guild master, Zebel, states that in all his years he has never heard of one being defeated so easily, and Aisha admits she has only ever read about such creatures in ancient texts. As the leader of the White Serpent Sword, she presents herself with formal authority, swearing on her name, Aisha Garden, that every word of her report is the absolute truth. Her guild master does not doubt her but presses for the identity of this mysterious magic user, warning that if this individual is an enemy, it could spell disaster for the entire nation. Aisha can only admit that she has no idea who their powerful savior was. Her mind flashing back to a single detail from their encounter, recalling his calm smile as he urged her to forget any reward and tend to her friends. A faint blush on her cheeks, she concludes that she does not believe he is a bad person at all. 2 weeks later, in the Forest of No Return, a pack of goblins and boars growl menacingly. Tori faces them, noting his goblin subjugation quest has some unexpected extras. A confident smirk crosses his face, seeing this as the perfect test. Unhooding himself, he declares this is a chance to demonstrate his new skills. With a furious roar, the entire horde of monsters charges straight for him, yet our boy stands completely unfazed, calmly noting their bloodthirsty rush. Raising a hand, he once again utters the word for his defensive spell, Partition, and the charging beasts slam hard into invisible walls, their assault completely halted. He is impressed with his own progress, noting the speed and power of his barriers. Deploying several partitions simultaneously seems to be no problem at all for him now. With the monsters trapped and confused, he prepares to unleash his next move. Thanking his unwilling training partners for their cooperation with a sinister grin, in an instant he casts Severance, slicing the entire group to pieces. This aftermath is silent, proving his ability to sever space is a truly overpowered skill. But he notes from his studies that targeting multiple foes can cause his spell's coordinates to drift. Clutching a book on space magic, he resolves to study and train even harder, knowing he cannot just rely on his given talents if he wants to truly succeed. Back in the town of Boris, he continues his new life as an adventurer, returning to the guild with a massive beast slung over his shoulders. He reports the successful completion of his latest quest to the receptionist, Elise, presenting the goblin ears and a fang boar as proof of his work. With a warm smile, Elise officially marks his quest as complete, and 2 weeks into his new life, he collects his hard-earned reward, quietly reflecting on how surprisingly normal his adventure life has been so far. Elise notes how smoothly things seem to be going for him, much to his confusion, her eyes widening in surprise, remembering he only registered a few days ago. Tori sheepishly reveals he has already been promoted to a 2-star adventurer. Despite the promotion, he is still focused on reaching 3 stars for a stable life. Just then, a voice from across the guild hall calls out, drawing attention to him, as 2 other adventurers mock his rank, sneering at the so-called 2-star rookie. This receptionist, Elise, immediately steps in, scolding the bullies for their rudeness. A smug, light-haired adventurer sneers that it is just a fact, 25 is ancient for a rookie. With a strained laugh, Tori tries to brush it off, thinking 25 is perfectly young. Turning to Elise, he reassures her that it is fine, though she remains worried. She whispers that they are just feeling insecure, afraid a newcomer might surpass them. Besides, she explains, the rampage fang he hunted is a beast meant for 3-star adventurers. And that impressive feat is exactly why he is drawing so much unwanted attention. Elise reassures him with a smile, but our boy worries he got a little too carried away. She then jokes that if he'd wiped out a whole horde alone, that would really be a scene. A jolt of panic hits Tori, realizing he almost blew his cover completely. Noticing his sudden change in demeanor, Elise asks if everything is all right. He frantically explains his heart just skipped a beat thinking about his future life. Alarmed, she shouts that a skipping heart is definitely not okay at all. While nearby, a quiet observer munches on a snack, watching the commotion unfold. Her thoughts drift to the old rookie, dismissing any link to the mysterious mage. A wanted poster for the mysterious hooded mage is plastered on a wall. Breaking into a cold sweat, Tori realizes he is the one they are desperately searching for. Standing before the notice board, he knows he has to be extremely careful from now on. Suddenly, a voice calls out from a nearby shop, catching him completely off guard, where a merchant tries to sell him a special lamp that glows with fire magic, boasting that its high-purity ore core ensures it will last for a very long time. Tori considers the purchase, thinking it could be useful, and agrees to the low price. But a young girl's voice suddenly interrupts, telling him not to buy the lamp. She explains the ore is full of impurities, calling it a low-quality, shoddy item. This merchant panics while Tori turns to the girl, stunned by her sudden intervention. With a calm expression, she simply introduces herself as a fellow magic user. Walking away from the shop, he thanks her for saving him from the bad deal, and realizing he has not introduced himself, he cheerfully tells her his name is Tori. She quietly replies, stating her own name is Marine, and that name strikes a chord with Tori, who feels like he has heard it somewhere before. Marine approaches Tori on the street, insisting she must repay him for his help. With a thoughtful look, she decides she wants him to treat her to some sweets. Tori flashes a confident smile and a thumbs up, telling her that is an easy request, and soon they find themselves staring at a bakery's delicious assortment of pastries. Inside, he asks the excited Marine what she'd like to eat from the massive selection. Her eyes lock onto the display with a determined glint, having made her choice. She points to an entire shelf of treats, calmly telling him she wants all of them, leaving him stunned as she asks if there is some kind of problem with her order. He nervously suggests they just get half, but Marine seems completely unconvinced, trying to distract her by pointing out other, more reasonable options in the shop. But she launches into a passionate speech about the unique qualities of each pastry, her mouth watering as she prepares to devour her first delicious choice. Tori watches her happily stuff her face, reminding her not to talk while eating. Later, they sit on a bench as he sighs, realizing he bought a mountain of sweets anyway, a cold sweat on his brow as he realizes he will need more quests to pay for this. Beside him, a young girl pats her stomach, satisfied after eating all the sweets. Our boy stares in disbelief, stunned she devoured that entire amount so quickly. With a determined fist, she declares that sweets and drinks are a terrifying force. Tori can only sigh in resignation as she calls snack time a moment of pure bliss. She thanks him sincerely, but Tori worries her love for sweets makes her dangerously naive. Her curiosity piqued, she asks why a swordsman would be carrying a magic tool. Tori clarifies the lantern is for mages, but she counters that even swordsmen possess some magic. She elaborates that magic power and magic are different, like raw ingredients versus a finished dish. To prove his point, Tori casually summons a small flame on his fingertip, leaving the girl completely stunned by his casual display of power. A sudden realization dawns on her as she senses the nature of his magic. With a serious expression, she presents a small crystal, asking him to pour his magic into what she calls a black hurricane crystal. Her tone becomes urgent as she simply pleads for him to comply. Reluctantly, he agrees, channeling a bit of his power into the strange object. This moment his magic enters the crystal, it erupts with a dark, chaotic energy, and Marine stares in utter disbelief, a bead of sweat trickling down her face. Stunned, she asks if he can wield incredible magic, a question that confuses Tori. With a serious gaze, she specifies a power capable of defeating an earth dragon. This mention of that beast sends a jolt of panic straight through Tori's mind. Trying to act casual, he brings up the incident involving the white serpent's sword. His mind spirals into panic, desperately wondering how she could possibly know his secret. And the terrifying thought of being exposed and arrested by the nation floods his thoughts. Putting on a brave face, he laughs nervously, dismissing the accusation as impossible. But Marine holds up the crystal, explaining she has never seen it react this way before. For her, a powerful tri-attribute user, the crystal only ever glows with 3 distinct colors. A cold sweat breaks out as Tori realizes he was careless with an incredibly powerful artifact. He desperately suggests he might be a 4-attribute user, a possibility she briefly considers. Her gaze sharpens as she concludes that he is, without a doubt, an incredible magic user. Caught completely off guard, Tori can only ask if having that much power is truly rare. Marine explains that most mages only wield a single element, revealing she commands 3. Impressed, Tori can only smile, admitting her talent is absolutely incredible. But her expression sours, muttering that such praise from someone stronger is meaningless. Tori frantically tries to downplay his own abilities, insisting 4 attributes is a useless handicap. A flashback reveals her intense dedication, a life spent vowing to never be outmatched in magic. For her, she confesses, magic is the only thing she has ever had. Seeing her vulnerability, Tori looks on with concern, whispering her name. A sudden thought seems to strike her, her gaze shifting with a new idea. This serious mood shatters as she demands more sweets, leaving Tori absolutely stunned. Some 20 minutes pass while he waits for her to return from the shop. Our boy sits alone on a bench, dreading the mountain of pastries she is surely buying. Suddenly, a familiar, mocking voice calls out to the old rookie, catching him off guard. This 2 adventurers from the guild swagger over, questioning his time with Marine. A look of pure annoyance crosses Tori's face, recognizing his unwelcome company. Watching from afar, Marine reflects on his audacity, yet cannot help but respect his progress. While eating her sweets, Marine overhears a familiar pair of voices from the guild. She pauses, trying to make out what the 2 adventurers are talking about just around the corner. One of the men sneers that he is disappointed in her, catching Marine completely off guard, while his companion complains that she is wasting time showing pity to some pathetic loser. With a condescending smirk, the first bully decides there is nothing to be done about it. He then erupts in laughter, calling her a freak who knows nothing but magic. This cruel insult hits Marine hard, her expression freezing in shock and disbelief. A flicker of cold anger flashes in her eyes as the bully's words sink in. This too continue their mockery, laughing that it is not rude if they are just speaking the truth. Marine lowers her head, her bangs shadowing her face as she processes their cruelty. Just then, a new voice cuts in, telling the bullies that they have said enough. This light-haired adventurer whirls around, furious that some old rookie dares to lecture him. But the stranger calmly states he does not care what they say about him personally, his voice turning ice cold as he tells them not to mock those who are genuinely trying their best. Stunned by his sudden and fierce defense, Marine looks up at her unexpected champion. This 2 adventurers from the guild hall suddenly reappear, shouting in absolute terror at Tori. One of the bullies recognizes Marine, who calmly asks what will happen next. With a cold and intense stare, Marine insists that they teach her as well. Absolutely terrified, the 2 adventurers stammer that they are in no position to teach her anything at all. Without another word, they turn tail and flee, shouting apologies as they disappear down the street. Now alone, Tori asks if she overheard his inner thoughts, but she simply says she just returned. Clutching a bag of bread, Marine looks up and quietly offers him her thanks. He brushes it off with a warm smile, insisting he was just speaking his mind and that she is a truly incredible person. Her curiosity piqued by his praise, she quietly asks why he thinks that of her. Tori explains it is because she puts a frustrating amount of genuine effort into mastering her magic. His accurate assessment leaves her completely speechless, caught entirely off guard by his insight. With a somewhat sad laugh, he admits that he was never that kind of person himself, revealing a flashback to his past life as a salaryman who always made excuses instead of trying. And because of that past, he feels compelled to tell her something important. Looking her in the eyes, he tells her with a sincere smile that she is a special and truly charming person. His words leave Marine stunned, quietly repeating that he finds her charming. Instantly, Tori flails in panic, trying to clarify he did not mean it in a strange way. She turns away, muttering that praise from someone stronger does not make her happy, but a moment of hesitation gives her pause. With a faint blush, she admits that for some reason his compliment does not feel bad at all. He quickly tries to change the subject, insisting his own magic is trash and therefore meaningless. This self-deprecation only seems to annoy Marine, who finds his words irritating. Without warning, she offers him the black hurricane crystal, leaving Tori confused. He gently pats her head as she turns to leave, bidding her farewell for now. Her footsteps halt as a new thought seems to cross her mind. Turning back, she asks for his name again, admitting she already forgot it, much to his chagrin. Tori proudly reintroduces himself as the 2-star rookie, giving a confident thumbs up. She confesses she is bad with names but promises she will not forget his this time. With a small, knowing smile, she explains that it is because Tori is her hero, holding up the bag of sweets with a look of genuine admiration. Her words echo in his mind that he is someone she finds incredibly intriguing. and this sudden confession leaves Tori completely flustered, his face flushing red. He stammers, trying to process what her strange declaration could possibly mean. His mind races with paranoia, wondering if she is still suspicious or just marking her territory with sweets. As she prepares to leave, Tori can only offer a weak agreement, still lost in his thoughts. A grim resolve settles over him. He needs to take on more guild quests immediately. Soon after, he finds himself standing outside the Adventurers Guild once more. Inside, the friendly receptionist greets him warmly, asking what business brings him in today. But she notices his panicked expression, asking if something is wrong as he frets over his empty wallet. Pulling himself together, he explains to her that he is here to accept a new quest. To his dismay, the receptionist informs him that almost no 2-star quests are left on the board. Her theory is that the adventurers from yesterday are deliberately taking them all just to spite him. A thought that brings the image of those two laughing bullies back to Tori's mind. Only one quest remains, an investigation of a kobold nest, but it is too dangerous for a solo adventurer. This woman warns him that while subjugation is one thing, investigating a nest alone is far too risky. Flustered, Tori nervously suggests they just take on a simple 1-star quest for now. Marine, however, points to a specific request, declaring they will investigate a cobalt nest together. As the receptionist calls out her name in surprise, Marine simply acknowledges her with a quiet hum. This guild worker expresses concern, asking if she is truly recovered from the Earth Dragon battle. Dismissing the worry, Marine states she is already healed and it was nothing serious at all. With unwavering confidence, she insists there is no problem if she is on the quest. Tori questions her motives, wondering if she is trying to monitor his mysterious magic abilities. She then explains he looked troubled, so she is helping him, adding that sweets will be her reward. Changing the subject entirely, she points to a restaurant, suggesting a rampage fang steak. Declaring that sweets go to a separate stomach, Tori can only marvel at her otherworldly appetite. This guild receptionist then whispers to Tori, asking how he knows someone as famous as Marine. Her eyes widen in shock as she reminds him this is the very person she mentioned before. She reveals Marine's true identity, a 6-star great mage from the White Serpent sword, known as the Witch. That name hits Tori like a lightning bolt, his face frozen in utter disbelief. And his mind shatters with the realization that he is with the very people hunting him down. Tori examines the details of tomorrow's investigation, a quest to hunt a beastman, and sitting with Marine, he asks how long a mission like this usually takes. With her mouth full, she confidently revises her estimate to just a single day, a wave of relief washing over Tori at the news of a quick job. She then asks if he is nervous about his first real investigation, catching him off guard. Calmly telling him not to worry because she will be right there with him, she proudly reveals she is a 6-star mage from the White Serpent Sword Guild, leaving Tori to laugh nervously, admitting that is the very reason he is so anxious. As night falls, the crescent moon hangs brightly in the sky, and Tori finally arrives back at his lodgings after a long day. Opening the door, he is immediately greeted by a young girl who calls him Big Brother. Her bright, cheerful smile welcoming him home from his work. He smiles back warmly, calling her Lip-chan as he steps inside, and the girl puffs her cheeks with pride, declaring that it is her important job. Her innocent enthusiasm completely melts his stress away, bringing him a moment of peace. A gruff-looking man notes his return as Lip-chan excitedly calls out to her father. This innkeeper, Goliath, informs him that dinner is already prepared for him. Agreeing to eat soon, Tori decides to drop his gear in his room first, and the little girl proudly declares that she helped prepare the evening meal. Overjoyed by her help, the proud father scoops her up in a loving embrace. Tori watches this heartwarming display of affection with a completely deadpan expression. Noticing his stare, the innkeeper aggressively asks Tori if he has something to say. Our boy nervously deflects, muttering that he was just thinking how cute Lip-chan is. But this protective father misinterprets his words, furiously warning him not to get any ideas. This rundown inn on the outskirts of town serves as Tori's current base of operations, and for someone who caused the Earth Dragon commotion, it is a much-needed sanctuary. This remote location is perfect for avoiding the public eye after his recent notoriety. As a token of gratitude, Tori presents the innkeeper with a large cut of rampage fang meat. Goliath looks away with a heavy sigh, muttering about his own pathetic circumstances. He then offers his sincere thanks, revealing that Lip-chan has been smiling much more lately. Tori brushes off the innkeeper's concern, saying his daughter's smile is more than enough payment. This stern man looks on with suspicion, simply muttering about the youngster. He then declares he will never give his daughter away, though Tori's presence is welcome. As a new day dawns, the morning birds begin to chirp peacefully from the trees, and our boy is already outside, dedicating himself to his sword training with intense focus. He pauses for a moment to catch his breath, wiping the sweat from his brow, just as the innkeeper approaches, impressed by his dedication and early morning efforts. Sharing a laugh, the man praises his hard work as a true treasure not to be wasted. His tone suddenly shifts to a serious one, asking if Tori has heard the latest rumor, a tale of a mysterious magic user being hunted by the White Serpent sword. Tori breaks into a nervous sweat, realizing his first quest has already drawn unwanted attention. Meanwhile, another rumor spreads that the great witch Marine actually cried and admitted defeat. Our boy panics, terrified of what might happen if she ever heard such a thing. But Marine herself asks if he knows about the rumor of the mysterious magic user. and as she mentions her own supposed defeat, Tori realizes it is already too late. Marine declares she will never forgive that other mage, her intense gaze fixed on a nervous Tori. Walking through the forest, Tori breathes a sigh of relief, realizing she is just a sweet slover. With a nervous smile, he suggests that while chatting is nice, they should probably stay on guard. Marine calmly reassures him it is no problem, revealing she has already erected a barrier. Her casual declaration leaves Tori completely stunned, barely able to process her words. Looking around, he finally notices a thin shimmering film that has appeared out of nowhere. This is her water magic crystal wall, a barrier so powerful no monster in the area can break it. And Tori can only stare in awe, marveling at the sheer power of her incredible magic. With a proud little huff, Marine declares that her magic is way better, leaving him confused. Yet seeing her power gives him a surge of confidence, his fist clenching with newfound resolve. A quick comparison in his mind reveals his own spatial magic. Partition has superior defensive capabilities. This realization hits him with full force. His own magic is actually the more impressive of the two. While his power is a cheat ability from God, he now questions the true strength of a 6-star adventurer. His gaze falls on Marine, a seed of doubt planted in his mind about her supposed strength. To him, she just looks like a cute girl, and her personality seems a bit airheaded at times. Tori thinks to himself that she does not seem like a 6-star great mage at all. His internal monologue cut short by a sudden, jarring sound from the forest. He whirls around, instantly on guard and asking if it was a monster, but she denies it. This leaves our boy completely baffled, wondering what could have possibly made that noise, until Marine sheepishly admits it was just her stomach growling, leaving Tori absolutely mortified. She accuses him of teasing her while he frantically promises to get lunch ready immediately, and soon after, the two adventurers sit by a campfire, sharing a meal in the woods. While eating, Tori admits that as a rookie, he does not know much about adventuring yet, questioning her choice to eat sweets even while they are on an active mission. With crumbs on her face, Marine sighs that he clearly does not understand at all. A detailed lecture follows on the perfect nutritional balance of these adventure-specific sweets, but she cuts him off, telling him to stop being so noisy about her food choices. Changing the subject, Tori decides to ask about a rumor he has been wondering about, directly questioning why the white serpent sword is so desperately hunting a certain mage. Marine confirms that is part of it, but adds the person is too significant to be ignored. Tori nervously suggests the mage does not seem evil, so maybe they can just be left alone. Marine immediately shuts him down, declaring it is a massive problem regardless of their intentions. She explains that anyone with power rivaling a legendary hero is too dangerous to be ignored. This word hero catches Tori completely off guard, leaving him stunned and speechless. His fear quickly turns to excitement, thinking it is incredibly cool to be compared to a hero. But the reality of his situation sinks in. If he is exposed, his freedom is gone. He curses his luck for befriending the very person who could most easily discover his secret. Trying to play it cool, he agrees that they absolutely must find this powerful individual. Marine then adds that on a personal level, she truly wants to meet this person. This surprising admission leaves Tori completely baffled, asking her why she would want that. With a pout, she states her first reason is to make them apologize for the rumor of her defeat. Holding her cup, she trails off, mentioning there is a second, more important reason. Her gaze softens as she reveals their magic felt strangely familiar, almost nostalgic. Tori can only stare in disbelief, utterly confused by her strange confession. He asks what she means by nostalgic, but she admits she does not understand it herself. Marine muses that if she could just meet this mage, she might understand their motives. That is precisely why she is so determined to find this mysterious magic user no matter what. A nervous Tori begs her to share info, all while internally screaming for her to stop talking. Their conversation is cut short as they finally arrive at the entrance to the kobold nest, and peering inside, they spot a few of the beastmen lounging near the entrance, seemingly unaware. Hiding in the brush, Tori notes their pack tactics make them a threat even to 3-star adventurers. Marine adds that their keen sense of smell is a major factor, warning him to mind the wind. He finds it strange that the creatures have not noticed their presence yet, despite being so close. This kobold suddenly stare right at them, making Tori panic until Marine calmly states they are downwind. A sudden realization then dawns on Marine's face as she utters a single, quiet ah. She sheepishly admits the sweet smell of the apple pie in her bag might be attracting them. Unfazed, she flashes a peace sign, blaming him for getting them noticed even though it was her pie. Tori tries to stop her, but she just tells him to watch as she casually strolls forward. With her staff in hand, she begins to chant the incantation for a water spear spell, and she takes a firm step forward, ready to engage the kobolds all by herself. Suddenly, Marine is violently thrown into the bushes, leaving Tori stunned, and he realizes with dread that she might just be an airhead after all. With no other choice, Tori grits his teeth and draws his sword to face the threat. He soars through the air, challenging the massive beastmen that ambushed them. His blade meets the creature's powerful claw in a shower of sparks, his eyes narrowed with focus as he aims to take down the first attacker. But the beastman's speed is overwhelming, its strike landing with shocking force. This monster roars, completely unfazed by his initial assault. Believing the creature is charging him directly, he prepares a counter, and as it lunges forward, he welcomes the chance to strike. Tori's eyes widen in shock as he realizes it was just a feint, and from the sidelines, Marine screams a desperate warning about what is behind him. Her desperate cry sends a chill down his spine, just as a second beastman soars over his head from his blind spot, and he understands too late that this was the true intended attack. With a grunt of frustration, Tori tightens his grip on his sword's hilt. He unleashes a powerful slash, telling the beastman not to get so cocky. And the creature's head erupts in a spray of dark mist upon impact. Taking a knee, our boy admits their coordinated attacks are surprisingly dangerous, but he believes he can handle the last remaining one with just his sword skills. This lone kobold stands before him, ready for another round in the forest clearing, until a horrifying realization dawns. An entire horde of them emerges from a nearby cave. Panic grips Tori, knowing he cannot risk using his spatial magic with so many witnesses. Realizing this is no time to be holding back his true power. As the swarm of beastmen charges forward with murderous intent, a cold sweat breaks out across his face, convinced this is the end for him, when suddenly a water prison spell erupts, trapping every single monster in bubbles. He turns to see Marine, immediately apologizing for getting injured on her watch. Tori asks in disbelief if she was the one who cast the spell, and she simply confirms it. Stunned, he finally grasps the incredible power of a 6-star mage, realizing this is just the beginning. Not finished yet, Marine raises her staff to cast an even more powerful spell. A massive vortex of water gathers above her, a terrifying display of raw magical power. Tori can only stare in disbelief, utterly floored by the sheer scale of the attack. With a calm and focused gaze, she gives the single command to fire. This torrent of water crashes down upon the trapped kobolds with overwhelming force, and in an instant the entire horde is completely annihilated by the watery blast. She sheepishly apologizes to Tori for the overwhelming display of force, admitting that she might have overdone it and wiped out all the targets herself. A nervous sweat drips down his face as he tries to process what he just witnessed, but she just flashes a peace sign, declaring that everything turned out okay in the end. Looking at the devastation, he realizes he completely underestimated the power of a 6-star adventurer, and the thought that people this strong are hunting him sends a shiver down his spine. Marine casually mentions wanting sweets now, much to Tori's complete and utter disbelief. Sometime later, they find themselves back in the city, the mission officially complete. At a tea house, a woman remarks how unusual it is for Marine to take an interest in another person. Meanwhile, a girl with a flower in her hair muses that Tori is an interesting mystery. She reports that the white serpent sword is now watching the rookie adventurer Tori, this same rookie who has drawn so much unwanted attention already. From a hidden alley, a hooded woman reveals she has been investigating him for several days, noting his close partnership with Marine, a person who rarely shows interest in anyone. While she does not suspect Marine, the timing of events forces her to watch him closely. A new woman with a confident smirk appears, her name revealed to be Saran, and this hooded woman smirks, fully aware that she herself is being tailed, completely oblivious to the chain of spies tracking his every move through the city streets. He suddenly realizes he is being tailed by the very same beautiful knight he rescued earlier. Recalling his simple goal in this new life, act the part of a powerful mage to enjoy good booze, yet his very first day as a reincarnated person involved fighting a massive dragon, an event that drew far too much attention and ruined his chance for a quiet drink. Now he is determined to act more discreetly like a proper mage to finally achieve his goal. But just as he makes this new resolution, a terrible thought crosses his mind. Tori breaks into a cold sweat, realizing he is being followed by the last person he wants to see. A horrifying thought strikes him. Has Marine already figured out his secret identity? He quickly recalls changing his voice and hiding his face so she should not be able to connect the dots, and unsure of her intentions, he decides it is best to just ignore her clumsy surveillance. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted when a familiar voice asks him what he is doing. And he turns to find Marine standing right there, no longer wearing her disguise. She stares at him with an accusatory pout, clearly waiting for an explanation for his behavior, and after he apologizes, she points out that he has been staring at her repeatedly all day. Tori realizes that by giving her sweets, he has accidentally made her incredibly attached to him, while rumors fly that his association is hurting her reputation and linking her to dangerous groups. Marine cuts through his worries, insisting that as friends he should drop the formal honorifics, and touched by her words, he agrees, realizing she is his first friend in this new world. She then asks if he is free for the day, catching him completely off guard with the sudden question. Before he can answer, she grabs a hold of his sleeve, refusing to let him go. With a serious look, she asks if he is ready to do something bad with her. Tori is left completely flustered by her words, his face flushing bright red, and the hooded girl sitting nearby also panics, completely mortified by what she is hearing. Her imagination runs wild, picturing a honey-covered girl asking to do something naughty. Convinced she has to stop this misunderstanding, she prepares to intervene immediately. But our boy plays along with a sly grin, asking her to clarify what naughty thing she means. While Marine just looks back at him, genuinely confused by his question, she clarifies that the naughty thing is eating a super sweet dessert called a calorie bomb. Realizing her mistake, the hooded girl sinks in her seat, utterly embarrassed by her assumption. A blushing Tori offers to accompany her if she'd like, trying to smooth things over. This dessert in question is a towering mountain of sweets, fruit, and chocolate. And soon they are at a cafe, where Marine asks why he is not having one too. With her cheeks stuffed full, she mumbles that something just came to mind. mentioning that Saran, the vice leader of the White Serpent's sword, has finally returned. Apparently, the injuries from her battle with the Earth Dragon are now fully healed, which means the White Serpent's sword will be resuming their activities once more. Tori lets out a relieved sigh, feeling touched by her words and finally able to relax. But Marine looks downcast, lamenting that her time with him is fading away. He is moved by her words, realizing just how much she truly values their friendship. She suddenly gets his attention and he turns to her with a questioning look. To repay his kindness, she asks if she can have just one bite of his dessert. In response, Tori pushes the entire plate towards her, offering her all the remaining sweets. But she holds up a spoonful, insisting on feeding him herself with a simple ah. Completely flustered, Tori insists he can take the bite himself, waving his hands in protest. From her seat, the hooded girl watches in a flustered panic, her imagination running wild again. Reluctantly, he gives in and opens his mouth to accept the treat, calling her a beast. Their moment is shattered when a girl in a large hat appears, ordering him away from her master. Pointing an accusatory finger right at him, she demands to know exactly who he is. With a determined smirk, she introduces herself as Ween of the White Serpent's sword. Marine quickly intervenes, telling Ween to calm down and that Tori is her friend. Unconvinced, Ween accuses him of trying to deceive her master, a claim Tori quickly denies. Saran looks flustered, insisting there is no way she would ever agree to that. Elsewhere, a young mage grumbles about trusting a beast, questioning her master's judgment. She then blushes, thinking about how pure and cute someone is, revealing she is Marine's disciple. Suddenly, the disciple interrupts them, announcing an emergency meeting they must attend immediately. Saran looks hesitant to leave, clearly wanting to stay with Tori a bit longer. But he just smiles, telling her not to worry about him despite feeling a little jealous. Her concern, however, is for her unfinished dessert, much to Tori's private annoyance. And she admits she'd be sad to leave, asking him not to thank her for her company. Later, after they have parted ways, the city streets are quiet for a moment. Tori walks alone, sighing in exasperation at the day's chaotic events. A smirk crosses his face as he realizes he cannot act discreetly while being so obviously tailed. He reflects that he needs to start acting like a proper mage to achieve his goals. While the hooded girl watches from her hiding spot, feeling a growing sense of urgency, his path is suddenly blocked by a cocky-looking adventurer with a massive greatsword, and Tori stops in his tracks, completely caught off guard by this new arrival. A cocky adventurer with blonde hair confronts Tori, calling him out as the new rookie. Wary of the man's intentions, our boy asks who he is while keeping a hand on his sword. This stranger flexes his bicep, a clear and aggressive display of physical power, and he suddenly grabs Tori's arm with a crushing grip, offering a sarcastic apology. A strange magical pressure emanates from the man, leaving Tori to wonder what he is facing. This man boasts that he will not kill him, only teach him a painful lesson from a distance. With a final warning, he tells Tori to get lost before he gets hurt, stomping his foot. And the ground cracks beneath the sheer force of his stomp, a testament to his strength. He then lunges forward, demanding a proper greeting from the stunned rookie, unleashing a powerful punch aimed directly at Tori's face with incredible speed. But just before impact, a gleaming sword blade intercepts the blow with a sharp clang, leaving the attacker's eyes wide with utter disbelief at the sudden interruption. A blonde swordswoman stands between them, apologizing to Tori for her late arrival, and she introduces herself as Aisha Garden, the leader of the White Serpent's sword, causing the man to leap back in shock, demanding to know why she is protecting Tori. A woman calmly asks a strange question in return, a subtle challenge in her voice. Saran wonders aloud if one truly needs a reason to protect somebody else. Her opponent is left stunned, realizing he has not been cut at all, until he feels his pants suddenly begin to slip down his waist, and his face contorts in pure unadulterated shock and embarrassment. With a click of her sword's hilt, she asks him to pardon her little trick, smugly wondering if her actions were perhaps a bit unladylike for him, while Tori can only watch the bizarre confrontation with a bewildered expression. This man curses, admitting he is no match for the White Serpent's sword. And as he flees in shame, Saran remarks that his retreat is truly unforgettable. Turning her attention to Tori, she asks about the man who just ran off, so he introduces himself as a rookie adventurer and thanks her for the help. Saran confirms she knows who he is, having heard about him from Marine, when the flower-haired spy suddenly appears, insisting her presence is a total coincidence, leaving Tori to sweat drop, realizing she is the type who is terrible at lying. This hooded girl leans in close, asking Tori if they have met before with a flicker of recognition, but he quickly changes the subject, insisting they report the earlier assault to the guild. Unfazed, the mysterious girl simply says her goodbyes, announcing she has to leave immediately, promising they will meet again as she turns, leaving Tori to wonder about her true motives. She then breaks into a run, quickly disappearing down the empty city street. Left alone, Tori cannot help but smile, thinking about how incredibly cool Saran was in the fight, which makes him feel pathetic by comparison, having cheat-like abilities but doing nothing with them, recalling how useless he was during the investigation, unable to contribute anything of value. This is a world where lives are constantly on the line, a truth he cannot forget, and gripping his sword, he knows he cannot protect himself by just trying to show off. A heavy sigh escapes him as he stands alone, contemplating his own profound weakness. His expression hardens with a newfound resolve, a silent promise to change his ways, admitting to himself just how lame and ineffective his actions have been until now. As the sounds of the city echo around him, his moment of introspection comes to a close, and with his mind made up, he walks through a doorway, ready for whatever comes next. Tori steels his resolve, determined to earn a good drink by the end of the day. With a confident wave, he sets out from the inn to finally get his adventuring career started, his first stop being the local Adventurers Guild, the hub for all quests and promotions. This receptionist looks stunned when he requests to take the 3-star qualification exam, explaining that he wants to gain experience and rank up as a solo adventurer. But she immediately shuts him down, revealing the exam requires a full party to even attempt. This guild, she explains, discourages solo actions and emphasizes the importance of teamwork. This specific promotion is designed to test an adventurer's ability to cooperate, not just fight, leaving him with only 2 options: find other solo players or join an existing party. After a moment of thought, Tori comes up with a rather direct solution, shouting to the entire guild hall, asking if anyone is willing to help him with the test, only to be met with scorn as rumors of his connection to Marine have soured his reputation. Dejected, he learns it could take months to find anyone willing to team up with him now, when a new voice suddenly offers to accompany him, catching Tori completely by surprise. He turns to see a full party of 5 powerful-looking women ready to join his cause. A friendly greeting from Marine catches him completely off guard, while Ween glares with undisguised hostility, and the hooded spy continues her silent observation from the shadows. Saran flashes a confident, almost predatory smile, asking Tori if he has any complaints about her guild's involvement, leaving our boy stammering, wondering why he keeps getting dragged into these situations. He realizes he is becoming hopelessly entangled with the White Serpent's sword. Elsewhere that night, a man fumes about someone's meddlesome actions, scolding the failed adventurer for attacking the rookie instead of just investigating him. This terrified man begs for another chance, promising to be useful to his master Ikens, but his plea is cut short by the swift, brutal swing of a blade. As Ikens stands over the body, declaring there will be no next time for fools, he coldly orders his subordinate to clean up the mess, instructing him to further ruin the rookie's reputation by spreading rumors in the guild, while the subordinate privately notes his master's penchant for bullying the weak. Meanwhile, a subordinate agrees to a dark command, his hand over his heart in obedience, while his master gives a sinister order to corner their target slowly and without rushing, seeing a perfect pawn with ties to the White Serpent's sword who can be easily exploited. And as the leader of the Snake's Nest, he plans to use her however he pleases. Back at the guild's tower, a different kind of plot is unfolding for Tori. He is suddenly presented with a massive gift box, hailed as the savior of their guild, and a blonde girl with twin tails excitedly announces they are throwing a party just for him, leaving Tori in a cold sweat, realizing his secret identity has been completely blown. This girl tells him to relax and simply enjoy the full-course meal they have prepared. With a sigh, the veiled woman opens the box, revealing the so-called appetizer. Inside is Marine, covered in whipped cream, much to Tori's utter shock. She corrects them, clarifying that she is supposed to be the dessert, not an appetizer. Clinging to a flustered Tori, she then asks if he is ready to eat her, but quickly clarifies that her feelings of gratitude are genuine despite the strange situation. Tori can only scream in protest, completely overwhelmed by this bizarre display of affection. A blushing Marine asks if he is not even a little bit excited by her offer. With a serious expression, Tori declares he will act like a gentleman and have the dessert first. In a suggestive pose, Marine invites him to enjoy the meal she has become. Blushing profusely, Tori apologizes before bringing her hand to his lips, and she lets out a soft gasp, her eyes fixed on him as he tastes the cream. A mischievous smirk crosses his face as he points out he has only just begun, while in the background, a bound and gagged Ween struggles furiously to intervene. His moment is interrupted by a new voice observing how much he is enjoying himself. This voice belongs to a woman in a maid outfit standing just behind him, and he whips around in shock, recognizing the voice and stammering an apology. This blonde girl with twin tails formally introduces herself as Aisha Garden, leader of this party, leaving Tori to stare in disbelief, completely stunned by this shameless display. She then offers to be the next one to serve him, much to his utter confusion. Licking her lips, she explains her service is to clean up what Marine has dirtied, and before he can react, she pulls him into a deep, surprising kiss. A blonde girl leans close, licking a supposed stain from his clothes. Flustered, Tori insists she does not have to go so far just because he is her savior. But she just smirks, playfully dismissing his resistance as a joke, declaring it is her duty as a knight to serve him with all her heart. Another girl joins in, finding yet another spot to clean with a surprised expression, leaving Tori's mind completely blown by the bizarre fantasy. He suddenly jolts awake in bed, realizing it was all just a strange dream. Back in reality, Saran asks if he has any complaints about her guild joining his exam, and Tori panics, worried that teaming up with them will only make him stand out more. He tries to refuse, claiming he cannot trouble them, but they seem amused by the idea. As Saran reveals she's joining him to confirm the truth behind the nasty rumors, her directness leaves Tori completely speechless and sweating, and she bluntly tells the late-blooming rookie that she does not trust him one bit, while other adventurers cheer in the background, eager to see him get beaten down. A look of pure dread crosses Tori's face, realizing this test is now set in stone. A young noblewoman named Elise explains she is a fugitive, setting the stage for their mission, and one of the party members passionately swears to protect the lady with her very life. Her small mage companion chimes in, vowing they will ensure the lady's safety, while Elise tearfully thanks them, promising to reach her destination for all their sakes. Tori can only stare blankly, completely lost amidst this sudden burst of role-playing drama. And as the group stands by their carriage, Saran tells everyone to cut the theatrics and depart. This objective is then clarified by Elise, escorting her the VIP to the next town safely. A boisterous guild member laughs, admitting she was only half joking and is ready to get serious. So Tori and Saran formally agree to cooperate for the 4-day journey ahead of them. She tells him not to be so stiff, reminding him they are just his support and will follow his lead, leaving Tori to wonder if he is being underestimated but resolving to prove himself anyway. Taking command, he immediately lays out the party's formation for the escort mission. Marine and the boisterous warrior enthusiastically accept their assigned positions around the carriage, while the hooded spy confirms Saran will scout ahead, writing a note about Tori's quiet nature. Ween, however, protests being assigned to the rear, refusing to be separated from her master. Tori assigns Saran to protect the young lady in an emergency, a mission she readily accepts, and he explains their two possible routes, opting for the safer western plains to prioritize defense. Impressed by his logic, Saran compliments his plan, leaving Tori feeling like he is being judged, while Marine diligently takes notes, her scrutiny reminding him of his past life as an office worker. With their departure imminent, Marine offers him a snack as Ween warns him not to underestimate her master. And their journey begins, the party's wagon pulled steadily along the dirt road. Walking beside the cart, Marine suddenly compliments Tori, leaving him completely baffled by her praise, as she praises his efficient instructions and clear organization, which he dismisses as perfectly normal. With a confident smile, she notes his skills are far beyond a typical rookie, ensuring the test will be no issue. And he smiles, grateful that the communication skills honed in his past life are proving useful now. Her mood suddenly shifts as she apologizes, blaming herself for something Tori does not understand. She elaborates that being seen with her has damaged his reputation, and he finally understands her concern. But he casually dismisses her worries, claiming he is more concerned about her reputation, earning a playful jab. Ween suddenly grabs Marine, yelling at Tori not to sweet-talk her master while neglecting his duty, smugly declaring she is using her magic sense to keep watch, a skill Tori did not know she had. Ween is shocked he does not know about magic sense as Tori admits his ignorance of magic. And Marine explains it is a simple detection skill that even he could probably learn with practice. This small mage then offers to teach him herself, leaving Tori completely stunned by the gesture. While the hooded spy panics, realizing she has accidentally forged a bond between her master and Tori, this boisterous warrior suddenly grabs Ween by the hood, telling her to get a grip. And with a hearty laugh, she casually tosses the small mage back to her assigned post. Tori can only comment on her incredible strength, which she accepts with a confident thanks, but her gaze sharpens as she notes that he must be quite powerful himself to lead them. This direct observation catches our boy completely by surprise, leaving him at a loss for words, and she bursts out laughing, explaining that her intuition is screaming that he is a powerhouse. He tries to be modest, but she insists her gut feelings are never wrong about these things. Then suddenly pulls him into a crushing hug, declaring her intense love for strong people. Leaning in close, she makes a suggestive offer for a private encounter later that night. Tori is left a blushing, stammering mess, completely overwhelmed by her aggressive advance. But another party member calls out to the warrior, Liliton, interrupting the intense moment. Ween jealously declares she will be the one to teach Tori magic, warning Marine away. But a knowing smile crosses Marine's face as she offers a playful apology. This small mage reminds Tori of a promise, leaving him stammering that he has done nothing wrong, and when he tries to calm her, she just blushes and insists she is not angry at all. Tori is left completely bewildered by her sudden and intense reaction. Deciding to take a break, the party stops their carriage to prepare for lunch. And at that moment, Saran approaches Tori, asking if she can have a word with him. She brings up their earlier fights, asking if he is familiar with the mat technique, his lack of knowledge confirming her suspicions that he is truly a rookie. This technique, she explains, involves cladding a weapon or body in magic for a power-up, and Tori suddenly recalls his first attacker, realizing that was the strange power he felt. Seeing an opportunity, Saran generously offers to teach him the basics of this crucial skill, leaving our boy stunned by her unexpectedly friendly gesture. She agrees to train him after their lunch break, an arrangement he eagerly accepts, and with his wooden sword in hand, he nervously prepares for his first lesson. Tori looks completely lost, demanding to know what she means by this sudden proposal, as Marine calmly suggests a sparring match before she will teach him her secret, explaining with a smile that she simply wants to get to know him better. For swordsmen, she says, crossing blades reveals more about a person than any conversation ever could. Tori is completely flustered but secretly thinks her warrior's philosophy is incredibly cool. This rest of the party watches with mixed reactions, from excitement to Ween's utter annoyance. As they take their positions, the small mage gives the signal for the match to begin, asking Tori if he is ready for the inevitable confrontation. He smirks, acknowledging the huge skill gap but seeing this as a rare and valuable opportunity, while Marine smiles confidently, promising she will at least let him land a single hit. With a serious expression, the mage officially declares the start of their sparring match. In a flash, Marine lunges forward, her blade clashing against his with incredible speed and force. His eyes widen in pure shock, completely unprepared for the raw power behind her strike. The sheer force of the blow sends him skidding backwards across the dirt, struggling to stay upright, and he realizes with a jolt that he was completely careless despite managing to parry the attack. Saran confronts Tori, reminding him of her declaration back at the guild hall. With a cold stare, she reiterates that she does not trust him in the slightest. Her words hit Tori like a physical blow, leaving him sweating and terrified. So she tells him to ready his weapon, challenging him to a one-on-one duel, assuring him with a smirk that she brought plenty of healing potions for what is to come. A wave of despair washes over Tori, realizing he has absolutely no chance of winning this fight. While Saran dismisses him as pathetic, certain he cannot even land a single blow. From the sidelines, his new party members call him a weakling whose spirit is already broken. And Tori resigns himself to failure, wanting to just give up and end this humiliation. But a new voice cuts through the scorn as Marine declares that Tori is no weakling, catching his attention with her unexpected defense of his character. She admits that her guildmate is incredibly strong and Tori cannot possibly win the fight, yet her expression shows she has more to say on the matter, cupping her hands to shout words of encouragement, telling him to do his best anyway. Leaving Tori utterly confused, wondering what good trying will do against impossible odds. A fire of determination suddenly ignites in Tori's eyes, as he realizes there is something far worse than losing. Running away without even trying would be pathetic and uncool. At that moment, Saran's eyes widen, sensing an impossible surge of magical energy, and with a desperate roar, Tori swings his wooden sword to meet her attack head-on. Their weapons collide in a cataclysmic explosion of force and splintered wood. The sheer power of his strike forces even the mighty Saran to brace herself. But in the aftermath, Tori is on his knees, his sword shattered from the single clash. His party members watch from the sidelines, their expressions a mix of shock and awe, while Saran approaches him, stunned that he somehow used the mat technique. She demands to know how he learned it so unconsciously, her composure completely broken. But Tori admits he has no idea, explaining he was just moving on pure instinct. Then with a bright smile, he says it is all because Marine cheered him on, leaving Marine blushing and completely speechless at his heartfelt words. Ween suddenly appears, demanding a massive parfait as a reward for her support. Elise stares in utter shock, demanding to know the reason for his sudden maneuver. And at that moment, the straps on her outfit begin to strain under immense pressure. But a confident smile crosses her face as she realizes she was the one who'd been careless. Lilliton points and laughs, teasing a panicked Ween for being too distracted to notice the chaos, leaving the noblewoman completely stunned by the sudden wardrobe malfunction. Her expression then shifts to a cold, blank stare as the reality of the situation sinks in, and with a flushed, mortified look, the clasps on her attire finally burst apart. Tori frantically denies any involvement, insisting he is not the one responsible for this mess, while Elise, blushing furiously, declares they will continue after pointing out his sword is broken. Saran calmly offers our boy another weapon as the others continue to tease him relentlessly, and with night falling, the party finally decides to set up camp and prepare for a feast. Tori internally panics, trying to convince himself he was only focused on protecting Lady Elise. But his party members surround him, playfully accusing him of orchestrating the entire exam for this. Later by the fire, Saran confronts him, questioning if his bold actions were truly just for the test. Glaring with an angry blush, she demands to know why he was so forward during their mock battle. A frantic memory flashes through Tori's mind of an accidental, embarrassing encounter. Back in the present, he uses a spark of magic to light the kindling for a campfire, bringing a small, crackling fire to life in the evening gloom. Sitting alone by the flames, he reflects on his earlier outburst and feels a wave of regret. A sly grin crosses his face as he realizes this distance gives him an advantage with his space magic. Yet despite this, a feeling of frustration lingers until a sudden sound cuts through the quiet. His head whips around in alarm, sweat beading on his brow, and he scrambles to his feet, fearing a monster or bandit attack has just occurred. But bursting through the trees, he stumbles upon the guild members bathing in a spring, where one of them greets him with a wide, unnervingly intense expression. Tori is left a stammering mess, realizing he has intruded on a private moment. Marine then asks if he came to check on her safety, catching him completely off guard. While another woman's friendly demeanor vanishes, her hand raised to strike him down. A loud slap echoes through the forest as she screams at him for being a creep, leaving our boy completely stunned and muttering a feeble apology for the misunderstanding. Lilliton laughs off the commotion, teasing the noblewoman for her dramatic reaction, but her expression suddenly darkens as she mutters that it could not be helped. In a passionate outburst, she declares that ignoring such a thing would be the greater crime. Later, Marine approaches Tori with a towel, asking him a quiet question, and then makes a bizarre offer that leaves our boy completely stunned. Ween suddenly appears, eagerly volunteering for the same thing as Tori wonders where Saran is. But at that moment, an arrow thuds into a post right beside his head. He sees a message attached, wondering who would send a note in such a way. This note is from Saran, telling them she will be bathing alone and not to mind her. And just then, Saran herself appears, calling out to a very nervous Tori. She commands him to meet her privately after his training, adding that he cannot refuse, leaving Tori with a sense of pure dread, feeling like his life is about to end. As night falls, the crescent moon hangs high in the dark sky. Tori waits anxiously by the campfire, his sword resting beside him on a log. When a voice breaks the silence and he looks up to see someone has arrived. As Saran approaches, Tori is momentarily stunned by her beauty, lost in thought. She asks if something is on her face, snapping him out of his daze as he frantically denies staring. Saran then declares it is time to settle things between them, leaving Tori completely bewildered. Her explanation begins, referencing her past hostility and how she made him feel unwelcome, and in a stunning turn she bows deeply, offering a sincere apology for her behavior. Our boy is left utterly speechless, stammering her name in disbelief at this sudden change of heart. Looking up, Saran confesses she never actually believed he was a bad person from the beginning, claiming she has always prided herself on being an excellent judge of character. More importantly, she reveals Marine always seemed so happy whenever she spoke about him. This revelation hits Tori with the force of a physical blow, his mind reeling. With her apology delivered, she tells him to sit down before preparing to take her leave, but clarifies that her feelings are a personal matter, separate from her official duties. As the leader of the White Serpent's Blade, she still has a responsibility to investigate him thoroughly, and she will not hesitate to do what is necessary to ensure her comrade's safety. Tori finally understands, realizing her harsh attitude was a test born from her sense of duty. Tori says he finally understands why her companions admire her so deeply, and with a gentle smile, Elise accepts his compliment, saying she is truly honored. She then formally apologizes for the slap, asking him to forget the incident at the guild hall. Her actions, she explains, were actually meant to protect him from a difficult situation, because her high standing means anyone she is friendly with could become a target for others. But she raises a finger, warning him not to get the wrong idea about her intentions, as her expression darkens while vowing to never forgive him for peeking at them bathing. A panicked Tori desperately tries to explain that it was just an accident, but she refuses to listen, leaving him to apologize under the cold night sky. Later that night, the party is settled in their tents for some much-needed rest. While inside, the women of the party are all sound asleep after the long day's journey. Tori sits alone on watch, deciding to use the quiet time to practice his magic, pulling out a book on space magic, hoping to apply the lessons Marine taught him earlier. Standing with a determined look, our boy prepares to test his newfound skills, and focuses his energy, unleashing a wave of perception magic to scan the entire area. From the shadows of the forest, small creatures watch the unfolding events, and his magic sense suddenly flares, giving him a strange vision of the bathing guild members. Even the squirrels in the trees seem to pause, sensing a shift in the air, while a mysterious hooded figure observes everything from a hidden vantage point. Tori's eyes widen in shock as he realizes he can perceive his entire surroundings directly, a cheat-level detection skill far superior to simple magic sensing, a part of his spatial magic. This horrifying implication of this power suddenly dawns on him, and he panics, apologizing to the universe for accidentally seeing the girls bathing. Trying to brush off his internal crisis, he is interrupted by a new presence. As three wolf-like monsters emerge from the woods, declaring they are his new opponents. A confident smirk crosses Tori's face, telling them they have picked the wrong person to mess with, but a flash of panic reminds him just how dangerous this situation could truly be. His hand tightens around his sword's hilt, a new resolve forming within him, deciding to use these monsters as practice for the Madoi technique he just learned. With a powerful swing, he unleashes his newfound power against the first creature. With a single swing, his blade cleaves through the monster's flesh with shocking ease, and Tori realizes with a jolt that this is the true power of the mat technique. His victory is short-lived as two more wolf-like creatures prepare to strike him down, splitting apart to launch a coordinated pincer attack from both sides, but a smirk crosses his face, seeing their teamwork as a predictable weakness. He knows that creating an opening for one opponent leaves the other vulnerable, a foolish strategy against a swordsman who can now match their speed. In a flash of movement, he intercepts the first attacker, cutting it down mid-lunge, and now faces the last monster, ready for the final confrontation in the woods. This creature suddenly bolts past him, making a desperate attempt to flee the fight, but digging his heels in, Tori knows his Magi-enhanced body can outpace it. With a burst of speed, he closes the distance, shouting that he can catch it, and his blade finds its mark, ending the second creature's escape in a decisive blow. Standing over the defeated monsters, he cannot believe he handled such tough foes so easily. A quiet moment of reflection follows as he processes his newfound strength. A confident smirk crosses his face, savoring this long-forgotten feeling of power, and Tori cannot help but admire his own newfound coolness in the heat of the moment. He laments, however, that no one is around to witness his incredible strength. Just then, two more wolf-like creatures emerge from the shadows to challenge him. Our boy confidently tells them to bring it on, ready to take on as many as they can muster. But his bravado vanishes when an entire horde of monsters suddenly swarms from the trees. His mind races in panic, realizing even his Madoi technique is useless against these numbers. And he considers using his forbidden space magic, but the risk of exposure is too great. When a familiar voice cuts through the tension, telling him not to leave them out, Tori whips around, instantly recognizing the person who just spoke. It is his entire party, with Elise leading the charge and telling him they are here for the party. This other girls chime in from behind, saying they want to join in on the fun too, leaving Tori completely stunned, asking if they were awake this whole time. Elise calmly tells him to save the questions for later, pointing toward the real problem. As the snarling pack of monsters prepares to overwhelm their position, a single boot steps forward, signaling the start of the real party. As a blonde warrior leaps into action, declaring the real feast has just begun, she immediately tears through a monster, a brutal display of overwhelming power, remarking with a smirk that it has been a while since the guild had a real feast. Another small creature is sent flying from the sheer force of her attack, this battlefield becoming a blur of motion and devastating impacts, while more strange, deer-like creatures leap into the chaotic fray. A hooded archer joins the battle, noting this feast will not involve any alcohol, unleashing a powerful vortex of water magic upon the enemy horde. This spell fires directly into the swarming creatures from above, sending them flying as she laments the lack of proper drinks. A third woman then appears, offering to provide some cold water instead, while the blonde warrior playfully asks for a cup for herself mid-combat. This new magic user then unleashes a powerful fire cannon spell, launching a devastating ball of fire at the remaining enemies. A blinding flash of power erupts from the darkness, obliterating everything in its path. Just then, one of the girls lets out a big yawn, saying it was a good way to wake up. Another companion tells her there is no need to be awake for this, leaving her confused. This blonde leader sighs, lamenting that her party got so carried away she did not even get a turn. Standing over the field of slaughtered monsters, she declares the party is over for the night. Tori can only stare in utter disbelief, muttering how unbelievably strong they are. He thought he could win, but they wiped out the entire horde in a single moment. This is the true power of the legendary party, the White Serpent's blade. Approaching their leader, he tries to thank her, but she dismisses it, saying she did nothing. Her expression then hardens as she questions why he did not call for help sooner. She scolds him for being reckless, warning that bravery against a horde is just foolishness. Looking down in shame, Tori apologizes and promises to reflect on his actions. Getting right in his face, she demands he take her words to heart as he nervously agrees, but her tone softens as she admits the most important thing is that he is unharmed. With a gentle smile, she tells him he is their friend now and should learn to rely on them. Tori approaches Saran with a serious expression, needing to report something urgent. He thanks her for her earlier support, and she tells him to rely on her more. Our boy then asks if he can make a report, catching her slightly off guard. Looking away, he admits that it might not be a very big deal, but explains he sensed a human-like magical presence while using his detection skill, a fact that puzzles Saran, who admits she did not feel anything similar herself. This presence vanished after the monsters were defeated, he clarifies, but he felt he should mention it. She speculates it was likely just a passing merchant or adventurer on the main road, but warns him it could have been a bandit, telling him to stay alert for anything suspicious. Tori thanks her for the advice and she smiles, saying every report is important. Her expression then shifts to a sly grin, warning him not to peek at the girl's tent. A wave of guilt hits Tori, who stammers an agreement, remembering his accidental spying. Under the crescent moon, she questions his flustered reaction, asking if he had ulterior motives. While unbeknownst to them, a hooded observer watches from a distant clifftop. A smirk crosses their face, deciding to report this new development to their superior.